The escalating global conflict and how to prepare for its consequences. The conflicts unfolding in Ukraine and the Middle East show worrying signs of potential escalation, raising concerns over a broader, possibly global, confrontation. The war in Ukraine continues unabated, with Russia entrenched in a long-term struggle that has caused severe losses for both sides. Meanwhile, the situation in the Middle East, particularly between Israel, Hezbollah, and Iran, has deteriorated with growing risks of regional spillover. The convergence of these two major conflict zones could trigger a wider international crisis, with implications that stretch beyond the regions involved. In Ukraine, as the conflict grinds into its third year, Russia shows no sign of stepping back. Ukraine's counteroffensive has made limited progress, and there is fear that, should Russia feel cornered, it may resort to more extreme measures, including tactical nuclear weapons. Western support for Ukraine is critical, but its continuation remains uncertain as political priorities shift in the US and Europe. Simultaneously, the Israeli-Hamas war has drawn in powerful regional actors. Iran's backing of Hezbollah in Lebanon has already led to direct clashes with Israeli forces. If Hezbollah intensifies its attacks, or if Israel feels compelled to launch a deeper incursion into Lebanon, Iran may be drawn in more directly. This would almost certainly trigger a response from the US, which has a vested interest in supporting Israel, potentially dragging other NATO allies into the fray. The risk of these separate conflicts becoming linked lies in the complex alliances involved. Russia and Iran are aligned on several fronts, particularly in their opposition to US influence. Should the situation in the Middle East escalate into a full-blown war involving Iran, it is conceivable that Russia might support its ally militarily or diplomatically, further straining its relations with the West. On the other hand, the US, already heavily engaged in supporting Ukraine and Israel, would face increasing pressure to broaden its military involvement in both regions. China, watching from the sidelines, could also become involved. While China's direct participation in either conflict remains unlikely for now, its strategic alliance with Russia suggests it could support Russia indirectly, especially if the war in Ukraine destabilizes further. Simultaneously, US-Chinese tensions over Taiwan continue to simmer, which could add another layer of complexity to global geopolitics. If these conflicts do escalate, the possibility of a new world war cannot be dismissed entirely. While major powers like the US and Russia would likely prefer to avoid direct confrontation, the intertwining of these regional wars with global power dynamics creates a volatile situation. The coming months will be critical as nations try to manage these crises without letting them spiral into something far more dangerous. How citizens can prepare for a potential global war. With tensions boiling in both Ukraine and the Middle East, the potential for these conflicts to merge into a broader global war looms ominously. In such a scenario, ordinary citizens across the world must consider steps to prepare, as even distant conflicts can have far-reaching consequences. While no one can fully prepare for the devastation of war, there are several actions people can take to mitigate potential risks. 1. Stay informed. One of the most crucial ways to prepare for any geopolitical upheaval is to stay informed. Relying on multiple credible news sources helps ensure that you are aware of important developments. Governments may release emergency instructions or updates, so following official channels is vital. Digital preparedness is key. Keep devices charged, ensure access to alternative communication methods, and store critical information offline. 2. Financial preparations. War often leads to economic instability. Stock markets may plummet, inflation could rise, and supply chains might be disrupted. To safeguard personal finances, consider diversifying assets, holding onto hard currencies such as gold, and having a cash reserve on hand in case banking systems are temporarily disrupted. Also, reducing unnecessary debts could provide greater flexibility in times of economic turmoil. 3. Stock up on essentials. Supply chain disruptions are a common consequence of war. Even those far from the battlefield could experience shortages of food, fuel, and medical supplies. Stockpiling non-perishable food, drinking water, and basic first aid supplies for several weeks can provide some degree of security. Energy independence, such as having backup power sources like solar chargers or generators, can also prove invaluable. 4. Strengthen community networks. In times of crisis, strong local and family networks can be essential. Communities that organize support systems, such as shared resources or skills exchanges, are better equipped to withstand disruptions. Additionally, knowing your neighbors and building trust ensures faster mutual assistance in emergencies. 5. Mental and physical preparedness. Preparing for the psychological toll of a conflict is as important as securing physical needs. Practice stress management techniques and ensure that you have access to mental health support, either through professionals or community networks. Physical preparedness includes maintaining good health, as access to medical care may become more challenging in a crisis. 6. Consider relocation. While a drastic measure, some may choose to relocate to areas less likely to be affected by geopolitical conflicts. For those in regions where war is imminent or in countries heavily involved in the conflict, having a well-thought-out evacuation plan, including up-to-date travel documents and predetermined destinations, can be critical. 7. Engage politically. Citizens can also push for diplomatic solutions by participating in political processes, advocating for peace, and supporting leaders who prioritize de-escalation over conflict. Awareness campaigns and global solidarity movements can help pressure governments into negotiations, potentially averting the worst-case scenario. Though no preparation can fully mitigate the impact of a global conflict, taking proactive steps can help reduce the risks and improve resilience. The situation remains fluid, and while world leaders strive to contain these conflicts, the importance of readiness on both a national and individual level cannot be overstated.